Hi, I'm going to do like a video on Richard Branson today because obviously he's made an empire. Don't get me wrong, he comes from prestige. He comes from a family which is well-to-do. His grandfather was a judge, so he comes from money. So it's not like he made it because there was some rumors used to go around, in the 70s that he was such a self-made guy. He had family money, so it's not like somebody who just like rags to riches as such. Clearly he's a clever man. So let's have a look at his chart and see what we can see. Okay, I've done no prep for this. I've just literally been to Wikipedia and got some dates, but in order to see it properly we need to first of all look at his okay, so in Wikipedia it says that he kind of started his venture in 1971. 1971 would be his Venus period. So Venus period, he's a Cancer ascendant, and Venus dasha would have been like would have activated his 4th house and 11th house of gains for him, and his Venus is in Migrashira. Venus does really well in Gemini. Migrashira also is quite interesting because I find if you have 7th Lord Venus or a very like moon or anything, any major planet like that in Migrashira, it just means for a guy then they are literally, particularly in the 12th house, which is a secretive house, it's multiple affairs, secret affairs, very, very secretive things to do with sex going on there. So I wouldn't really say it's necessarily a great placement because it's also Mars's nakshatra. It's one of those soft nakshatras that I think it gets spoken to as though it's really an amazing nakshatra. Anyway, yeah, so let's have a look at his so he is literally Mars rules his 10th house and Mars is in the 3rd house, so he is an artistic man anyway, and his Chitra being his obviously 3rd house is all to do with the arts, self-expression. All that music business will be all within that sphere. And also Chitra will be like Chitra is a very, very calculating nakshatra. It's one of those nakshatras that can actually you don't want to just look at it and just think it is somebody who can design a really, really and calculate and manipulate a really good plan. Highly, highly, highly intellectual nakshatra. It's slightly manipulative. So I don't want you to think that it's got like that always that good sort of connotations, because it is a quite a deceptive nakshatra. Anyway, so people also when you have the ruler of the 3rd house in your 1st house, Mercury, and also Mercury there gets directional strength, is in Saturn's nakshatra, a friendly nakshatra. So Mercury is doing well there and sitting there in the 1st house, so it's very focused on the business. 3rd house is also a house of business. It's a very skillful house, and it's also got the sun there. So this is an individual who is highly intelligent, highly intellectual, and very he himself creates his wealth. He's very capable of making his own house, because 2nd house ruler is also in the 1st house, creating a really nice dhamma yoga. And through media, 3rd house being media, Mercury being the planet of media and the arts. So it's amazing. And also having Venus, the artistic planet, in Gemini as well, it kind of reiterates that as well. And So he's basically in 1971, he started his, it wouldn't be like it wasn't his first venture, but he started it in 1971. So what would be Venus period, and Venus being like home, and actually started his venture in, uh, at home kind of thing. And also 11th house ruler as well. So Venus, through the groups and networks, started his business. Now, he purchased a property. He started off in somewhere in Oxford Street in London, which is a very, very plush area for shopping. It's a very famous street in London. He started selling records at really reasonable prices. He actually avoided paying tax. So as well. But so obviously Venus being like gains, the ruler of the gains house in the 12th house of secrets. So there we are. Tells you a lot about his dealings, really, doesn't it? And also he purchased a house in Oxfordshire. I think it's Oxfordshire. And so 4th house, gained a house, 11th house and 4th house, and created like recording studio, which will be like the 12th, because obviously it's in the background, and a lot of he used to like lease the recording studio for artists to then go and record their songs. And he signed many bands, from Sex Pistols to Peter Gabriel, Rolling Stones, Japan, UB40, Paula Abdul. So he literally did take off and did really extremely well. And obviously he also comes from having Jupiter in the 8th house as well. So he's gained a lot, not just from groups, because Aquarius is the natural 11th house of the zodiac, but also inheritances, lots of taxes, obviously tax avoidance there. But I want to just go on to, because what's happening then, I think his business, gets better and better during his Sun Dasha. He's very, very successful. For him, the sun is obviously rules his 2nd house of money. And you can see that because the 1st house ruler, Moon, is in the 2nd house, there's an exchange between 1st and 2nd house. So that exchange creates a lot of wealth. And also because 7th house ruler of other people, and obviously it just means that literally the moment he's in a relationship, he activates his 7th house. 7th house ruler is then in the 2nd house. And look at that. Saturn is in Purva Falguni, which is very much connected to the artistic ventures, particularly singers. It's just quite amazing. So getting money out of the fruits of that. So I'm just also going to go to, just want to have a look. So I've also got 1981 to 1987, he starts doing package holidays. So that will be in the Dasha of Moon. Interesting. Moon will activate his 1st house. Moon is Cancer is overseas. And Moon obviously then in his 2nd house. So creating money. So between 1981 and 87 in Moon Dasha, so you can see that he starts his business in 71. Sun being like the ruler of his 2nd house, being in the 1st house. So it creates a lot of wealth for him during that time. Moon, then he starts a new venture, because obviously every Dasha you're onto something new. Starts his travel business. Moon is also traveling. And hospitality as well. And then in 1988, so towards the end of that, he then goes into, during his Mars Dasha, he goes into telecom business. And Mars is the ruler of his Yoga Karaka planet. So his fifth house ruler. So fifth house ruler in the third. So obviously artistic, all about self-expression. And his 10th house ruler in the 10th house, so he's earning money through those third house stuff of communications and internet, telecom. So you can see that will get activated. So let's have a look at his okay. So just wanted to have a look at this because so that you can see what's going on in his D9 and D10. I'm going to sort of concentrate on the D10 because so we said that Venus will activate his literally start his job as such. Also, I want you to see that he is a Virgo ascendant. Mercury rules that first house ruler in the 10th house. He's got the most magnificent Raja Yoga there. Venus is second house ruler and also is his 9th house ruler. So it's a money-making machine. For him is also conjunct Mercury, 9th house ruler in the 10th, which gives him the most amazing yoga. And also 4th and 7th house ruler, 4th house of home and also overseas, 7th house of other people, business partners. Look at that. So he has got that massive Raja Yoga there, massive yogas there going on in his 10th house, huge. So Venus will, when he started, activated his 2nd house and 9th house and also his 10th house during that time. Then after Venus, he had his Sun Dasha. So Sun Dasha then activated his Sun 7th house because Sun is in his 7th house. So probably business partners working with other people. And because also Sun rules his 12th house, it also means that he's dealing with more foreign people at that point. And then we have his then he goes into his Moon Dasha. Moon would have brought him a huge amount of because that's when he started his Virgin Airlines and package holidays. So Moon rules his 11th house and he's gone into his 2nd house. Wow, that's just whopping Dana Yoga, really. Absolutely. And look, Jupiter is also aspecting that moon. Huge amounts of money he's gained during that time. And then during his Mars Dasha, towards the end of the Moon Dasha, and he starts his telecom, and Mars, which is his 3rd house of internet and everything, then starts his telecom business. Virgin Media started. So, and you can see that it became like a global business. And so from there, if you make Mars the ascendant during the Mars Dasha, then he has all these planets in the 7th house, which is incredible. So, and also from there again, from where Mars is, you can see it's a 5th house and 12th house ruler in the 1st house for that Dasha, and Jupiter is also aspecting his 11th house from there. Amazing. So I wanted to just see that. So just see what's happening with him. Let's go back on his, excuse me. So he's in Jupiter Dasha. Jupiter also rules his 9th house. So again, he's obviously doing pretty well. He's got Rahu there. He's it's questionable. Makes his because also his ruler Jupiter is in the 8th house, so his beliefs are not what would be very conventional, if you like. And it's also his 6th house ruler also. So the condition of that Rahu is not great. So I would probably say there are quite a lot of odd things about his beliefs and his things like that. And he might have had an unusual sort of relationship with his dad as well, or his dad could have had some foreign, what do you call it? Some sort of foreign heritage as well. But it could also be that during this period, Jupiter period, he'll have some losses because sixth house is also litigation, enemies, and health issues. So he could, during this dasha now, he could actually, which will go on till 2030, he might sort of, I don't know whether or not he's divorced or he's married or something. He could have some losses during this time, whether it's to do with taxes or just court cases. I mean, I don't really know what the situation is with him, but he could have some obstacles during this time. And just going to sort of like have a look at his, so his moon is in Magha. So Ketu nakshatras will be a little bit difficult for him. And he's, after Ketu, we have Venus dasha. So Venus was a real Sampat dasha, which means that it kind of has got like second house connotations of earning money, comforts, things like that. Often people get married in Venus period and start a family too, which is all to do with second house. And then he had his Sun dasha. So he probably did have to really apply himself during the Sun dasha, and actually probably made him quite mature during that time. And Moon would have been a really, really nice dasha for him, because it'll be his Keshma. So it's like, this is probably the time that he's bought a lot of property, has had a lot of successes during that. I would probably say his Moon dasha was probably, I mean, I don't know what the situation is. Oh, Rahu is also his yogi planet too. Okay. So yeah, so and then Mars. During Mars, Mars would have been the time when he has, towards the end of the Moon dasha, he's kind of started the internet kind of telecom businesses. And I would probably say that period was quite difficult for him. For one thing is, obviously it's Mars dasha. So even though it's his, what you call his, Mars is also his Yogacaraka planet, but it's not in a favorable nakshatra from his moon. So I think during this time he has had losses during that time when he started this. I actually would be surprised if he did that well with his telecom business. His Rahu period would have been really good for him. Actually, going back to Mars, I mean, I will actually do a video on this. Mars would have been his like difficult planet for him. Rahu would have given him a lot of, because it'd be his sadhana planet, and also it's his yogi planet as well. So he would have had massive successes during that time. So all the things that he did to do with whatever he was doing during that time would have been quite good, whatever businesses he was in. I mean, I don't know, he might have started actually with the telecom, but the telecom business, he actually left that in 2000. So I'm not really sure exactly what he was doing, but whatever he was doing during the Rahu period, the first 4 years would have been the telecom business, but after that he would have done something different. So whatever that actually was pretty good time for him, his Rahu period. Now he's actually in Jupiter period, and from Moon in Magha, actually that's a really difficult, is his Nadana. It's going to give him quite a lot of difficulties during this time, during Jupiter period. I mean, obviously the sub periods might be supportive, but nonetheless though, it will be difficult for him on the sort of like emotional level. But on the actual, when you look at his Vimshottari dasha from the ascendant, not from the moon, how he feels, but it's still pretty good. But I think, you know, obviously comes this period, Rahu Mars period, that it will change again, because he will then go into this period of Jupiter. So, you know, so he's quite lucky in the sense that whenever it's like he feels difficult from the moon, from the ascendant is not too bad. But here we are. So it's like, you know, this you know, to look at his chart, you wouldn't really think that it was a very special chart, but you know, he's got pretty good chart in the sense that, you know, he has moon, his ascendant ruler is in very, very good situation. It's sitting with the Saturn, so obviously he does suffer, he has his down times, if you like. And but nonetheless, the Jupiter is there. Jupiter is blessing the moon from where it is, so that's fine. So that's a little look at Richard Branson's chart, and we'll do another one soon. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Thank you.